Test, test. Alright, let's close that. Cool, let's get started. Day 2. Let me double check the title is actually... Yes. Cool. Alright. Most likely just going to be going quickly through these matches that aren't even going to be close. So, Hanzo first pick, Toronto Li Ming. Li Ming's the only other hero that can really effectively poke on this map. Lots of tank bans, maybe even a third tank ban here with Diablo. That's a really squishy backline. Could see like a Zeratul here, something like that. Okay. Tyrael. And that's a main tank Uther again. Sure. Alright, game. Slightly too far into the game. So, early game is even. Mind Freak actually getting more kills, somehow. Not really sure how they get kills when their only CC is an Uther stun into a Tarun stun, but I guess that's enough if Tyrael just walks into the Uther's face. No idea. Immortal starts. 5v4 for Mind Freak, but Uther's out of mana, so he's not a hero. And then they eat a Deckard combo. And an Immortal stun. Alright, and now they're going to lose this Immortal. Even if it's not dead right now, Hanzo kills this in a few Ws, and there's nothing you can do about that. It's just going to happen. Hanzo's just going to press his buttons. And some other heroes might press some buttons, but... that gives them level 10 timing on this fort, so they can't defend their fort. Hyperion instantly used for the siege damage. Keep probably won't die here. There's a good cleanse. Does Tyrande have cleanse? No, she went spell armor. I guess that's fine. When you already have Uther's cleanse, you don't need more. When there's only Hanzo ult and Thrall Sunder. Okay, so Keep is dead. Now all Tempest has to do is sit and let Catapults pressure. They can just sit on their Immortal for the rest of the game, let Hanzo poke, and then whenever Mind Freak goes to clear Catapults out. One other nice thing about having Catapults top is that it completely negates the enemy team's Night Camp. So here comes an invade. They actually get a decent catch onto the Raynor, who reacts really slowly to a Greymane being on top of him, and actually gets Uther stunned and almost gets Chain CC'd, but they just press Sanct. And the fight's over. They get a halfway, they get the entire thing. 100 to 0 Immortal, enemy team's dead. Alright, this game's over. Cool. This game, who was first pick? Tron first pick, okay. This is Towers. Medivh Deckard, sure. Garrosh pick here, with the other tanks all banned. Yep. And an Abathur. It's a bit weird. There's no... Abathur has no good clone target here. Raynor clone is pretty easy to kite, and doesn't really... One big thing with clones is it can sit there and do a bunch of range damage, but if you can just walk away with it, and it's never going to kill you, then it's a lot less effective. Because the thing with the Genji clone is, it can still sit there and do range damage, it doesn't have to all in, but it can also finish off kills. You can't just walk away from it at low HP, and it can never be threatened by it. The other thing too is, it's going to be so hard to get value out of the clone when they have no engage potential. Their best engage is if they go Judgment for some reason, and then clone at the same time as it, and even then, there's just going to be a portal going out. It's going to be way too easy for the clone to not get value. The only issue Tempest will have is if they get zoned off and can't stall effectively while the clone is out. But they're probably going to just be at 2 levels ahead by the time Mind Freak is level 10 anyway. Okay, Tyrael being weird. So Mind Freak is just 4 manning, which means that Abathur is going to get pushed into really hard by Dahaka. And that Medivh kill, I mean, Medivh should never die. That hero should be immortal. But Mind Freak isn't going to be ahead on experience because of all the damage that got done to this wall. Jaina can defend this really easily, the camp. And Medivh is even pushing in mid, so Blaze is going to have to constantly be split to go to the other 2 lanes, and whenever that happens, Garrosh is just going to portal on top of people. Tyrael could have stuck on top of the Garrosh better, but it doesn't matter, looks like they're all safe. Tyrael move speed is pretty strong. It's like reverse CC. Alright, caps get traded. Mind Freak have the Abathur, so they just want to stall, and they actually walk up really aggressively here, and immediately are going to get punished by a Dahaka dig. And I don't think there's any way that Raynor should be able to live here. Maybe not. Alright, Raynor lives. That's actually really good for Mind Freak, that they seemed to be pretty overextended, but the Tyrael move speed bailed out the Raynor there. And now with the Dahaka global committed, Mind Freak knows that they're just getting a constant advantage, as long as bad things don't happen to them. And with that Jaina Blizzard not fully connecting, that portal's kind of scary. Yeah, that portal's pretty scary. A bit of split focus here from Tempest, but they're still going to get 1 kill, 2 kills. Alright. And there goes all of the advantage that you would have gotten from your Abathur. Probably would have been better. Actually, it's so tough. The thing is, if you're not against a Medivh with this Garrosh, you could be split up. You could have Blaze over this wall stalling, and then you could have your 3-man over here, stalling with Tyrande Owls and stuns and other stuff, and Tyrael Qs, and Blaze can stall from over this wall, and that would be very hard to deal with. But because they have Medivh with Garrosh, you just get portaled on, and you just get killed, and there's nothing you can do about it if you split up like that. So they have to be together as 4, which means that their stall is a lot weaker, and can just get pushed out from one direction. And Dahaka got the entire top fort without even taking a siege camp, too. Now he digs down. Tehran's in a terrible position. Nice tongue on the blaze charge. Medivh's doing full DPS. Alright. Now Tempest wants to... They're just keeping Dahaka top, so they're not going to try and trade this top fort. Well, it's not up to them, really. It's if Mind Freak goes to take this top fort back, then Tempest will take the bottom fort, or take another fort, but... If Mind Freak sits bottom as 4, then Tempest just says, fine, we have 5 forts to 3. That's okay with us. And there's a clone. And as you can see... so right here, clone gets used, Tempest runs away. And that's a clone. That is an ultimate. You did, in fact, just use an 80-second cooldown for that. 70-second, whatever. And again, Mind Freak wants to be stalling this, especially because they don't have clone, and Avatar's getting free soak because the Hawk is down here. Blaze doesn't actually have bunker, but he's living because of the Tehran mark. There's a pretty nice sleep. ISO on the Tehran. Tongue on the Tehran. Taunt. Big thing here is that there's no pressure on Tempest's backline. Jaina and Medivh are just pressing their buttons on whoever gets CC'd, and there's no threat on them. The only range damage is Raynor. Neither of the tanks has any threat, especially if the Blaze isn't able to get charges on the backline, and the clone doesn't even do anything either. So that should be 2 forts, maybe? No. But the Hawk is starting to escort in shots. What is this? This seems like some insane positioning. So the bunker goes down, and they all get in it, but then bunker's going to die to the Deckard D. Okay, they sanked out of it. Is there no ley line for it? Oh, it's on cooldown. That's fortunate for them. It would have been a much easier fight for Tempest if ley line was off cooldown for that sanked, but it doesn't even matter. Picking Tyrael into Medivh XD. Tyrael can't punish Medivh portals, and also sanked is not useful at all against ley line. And even against portal, you can just portal away from the sanked, and then portal back in as soon as it runs out. Just not useful. Alright, double cap spawn. Tempest is stalling. They did cap bottom, okay. And oh, they portal on top of Tehran, and then she's dead. Fun and interactive hero, Medivh and Garrosh. Fun time that players are having. Look at that. Look at this. Sanked. Walk away. You have no CC to keep us in the sanked. Mind Freak does end up forcing down the fort, which is pretty decent. But now there's a triple altar spawn. At least they don't have 5 forts against them, so Tempest actually has to get 2 caps. They see Jaina bottom, so they're going to have to engage before Jaina gets here. Too bad they can't actually force an engage. Alright, Raynor clone and Raynor, run at them. Yeah. Come on, shoot that Dahaka. Shoot that person who's standing in front of your face. Oh, there goes Garrosh. He's just going to stall and portal back out. Nothing you can do about it. I guess your Raynor clone's out of duration now. Jaina even blows every cooldown on the Raynor clone that's about to die anyway. It doesn't even matter. She might have even popped Icy Veins. It's really hard to tell. I don't think it has a really great visual. Oh, Garrosh is on top of your Tehran again. He presses unstoppable button. Oh, she managed to get away from the taunt. But that's bunker and Starfall down, just for a portal and a taunt, and a Dahaka ISO. So, even if you do manage to save your Tehran from a Garrosh appearing on top of her, you're always losing out on the cooldown trade. I mean, you got Garrosh's unstoppable cooldown. That's a decent cooldown to get. Okay, you stunned him out of the portal, and he got immediately protected and healed for 1,000. There's Leyline on your Sanct. Here comes a Dahaka running at your backline. There's a Garrosh on top of your Tehran again. And everyone's dead, and the game's over. Neat. I mean, Medivh's broken. Why is Raynor picked over Phoenix? He has a way better matchup against every tank. Phoenix is really bad against any kind of CC. Like, anything, really. Like, the big issue for Phoenix is against Garrosh, his range is the same as Garrosh's Q, and he's too fat to be able to dodge it. So, if you want to be doing damage as Phoenix into Garrosh, you're always going to be able to get Q'd and potentially engaged on. And against Diablo can always just Q on you and then flip you. Or Q on you and then hold his flip for your E. So Phoenix is just really bad against the meta tanks right now. And he's also not that great against offlaners like Arel and Dahaka and Blaze. he can't deal with their CC either. Whereas Raynor's Q basically counters every single meta tank and offlane. You interrupt any of their gap closers, you interrupt so much of their CC, you knock them back, and you slow them, and you already have higher range and higher move speed than them. So, Raynor's just the best range DPS on most maps, just in general. Alright, here's Hearth's leftovers. Let's go back to the draft. Okay. So, Genji's left up and is first picked, and it is pretty surprising to see Hanzo with a Deckard, because Deckard has a lot of trouble healing burst damage. I really would have preferred a Tyrande, I think, because that also gives you the 100% vision advantage, where you have Tyrande Owl and you have Hanzo Vision Arrow, so you just have permanent map hacks up. And I'm surprised that Hero's Hearth is also not picking Tyrande here, because now it's going to get banned away. I understand. I mean, it makes sense. You do want to pick a Nubrak, because he's the third tank that you want to pick, after Diablo and Garrosh are gone, and you want to pick Li Ming, because she's the secondary poke hero that you can pick instead of Hanzo. And you know the enemy team can't pick Tyrande because they already picked support, but you know basically what's going to happen for Hero's Hearth is whatever one of these three heroes they don't pick is going to get banned here. Just guaranteed. So Hero's Hearth probably wants to ban out a tank. Maybe Blaze. Blaze ban would be fine too, just because Bunker's obnoxious. It's either Blaze or Tyrael, probably. And then leftovers, if Blaze is banned, they might go into, it's either Arel or Thrall. Okay, they banned Tracer. That's really strange. I don't know why you would ban Tracer when she already doesn't have a good matchup against Genji, and not a great matchup against the other heroes either. She's good against the Nubrak, but against Li Ming she doesn't do anything really. They both kind of ignore each other. So that gives away the Blaze, and the Blaze is really good counter to dive, because you try and dive on something, and then the Blaze puts on the bunker, and then suddenly you have no target, and you're taking 1,000 DPS for free. Alright, and Zeratul Brightwing. So, Brightwing gives them a global option. The problem is, none of their heroes have self-sustain. So, as soon as they eat a Hanzo W or a Hanzo Q, Brightwing's not going to be able to split soak anymore. And that is an ETC. That's pretty surprising. Or no, you can't pick Tyrael, because Zeratul, so you can't pick Tyrael. So, it was ETC, or Joe, or Muradin, and all of them are pretty meh, so just pick whatever. You're gonna end up... I mean, the game is about Hanzo and him sitting there and poking and having map hacks, versus these heroes trying to get on top of him and stop him from doing that and punishing him when he walks up to poke. Alright. Hopefully Ishbu plays better on the Anubrak this game, because yesterday his Anubrak was pretty bad. Pretty much wasted half of his cooldowns in every fight. Ugh. It does kind of suck that the mainstream is still going, but I do have to go to bed at a decent time, so more people will probably show up. Will show up once the mainstream is actually done. That's fine. Can watch the VODs. Not a big difference. Alright, here comes Hero's Hearth doing some side lane cheese. You have an Anubrak, just go and show up to a wall, and if the enemy team is not there, you get a free half a tower. And that's fine, because the enemy team can't counter bot on the other side, so you just have a coin flip where which lane did the enemy team go to protect against the Anubrak walking up to the wall and tanking it. And leftovers lost the coin flip. It's not a big deal, but it's just something you might as well do. So as soon as Zeratul... Okay, no, Blaze is coming down, so it's never going to even happen that Zeratul's 1v1 against Hanzo, for real. So Hanzo's going to rotate out. Hero's Hearth probably does not have a window here to force top camp, because it spawns too late. It could, because the wave is pushing in right now. It is, and this tower is dead, so it is possible. Hero's Hearth could have maybe tried to force this. The only problem would be that Blaze has the out-rotate on Zeratul, so Genji's going to backdoor the mid-well. That's a lot. That is pretty annoying here, because Deckard runs low on mana pretty easily, and overall his sustain isn't that amazing. Yeah, only one match left, so. And yeah, Leftovers is forcing this as soon as they saw Genji on their well. So everything's fine. Here's Hearth can defend this pretty easily with Li Ming, and the Nubrak Beetles can tank the camp anyway. Alright, that sucks for Genji that his rotate got found, because as soon as Leftovers knows where Genji is, they know where they can play aggressively, and they know where they need to play safe. So in this case, Genji's seen here, Blaze pushes up really hard here, and they could even potentially set up a rotation to go bottom if they wanted to. Because Leftovers, if they do have a minion wave, with them they push a lot faster because they have the Greymane, and the Hanzo even does decent damage. So theoretically, if Leftovers went bottom right now, or a little bit sooner, and Heroes Hearth tried to trade push, then Leftovers would win out on that trade. But in this case, looks like they just didn't have enough time for that. They just want to make sure they get out the night camp on a good timing. So that's fine. Both teams going to Knights. Let's fast forward a bit. Bit of an early night camp cap. So here's one advantage for Brightwing. She can at least try to clear out the night camp. Probably takes her about 20 seconds. But Leftovers is actually pushing with the night camp. And Heroes Hearth is trying to punish that by doing some damage here, but it's really easy to go from your own night camp push to defend the Immortal. So Heroes Hearth is only going to get a bit of poke here. And this wall is dead, and this bottom wall is not dead. So they traded this wall for a quarter of the Immortal, which, I don't know, if that's probably fine, because Heroes Hearth doesn't have the same kind of hero that can push into here, because they don't have any real range DPS that can hit buildings. The only hero they have is Li Ming. And what happens here? It looks like Leftovers just says, alright, they showed 2 top. Yeah, it's just, Heroes Hearth showed 2 top to clear this, because it was a huge minion wave, and Brightwing has no wave clear. So as soon as Zeratul shows, they just 5-man it down to here. They probably had a Hanzo map hack somewhere. No, it looks like they saw Zeratul. They didn't even need to use the Hanzo map hack. Alright, so both teams are burning. That's a really big cooldown to be wasted. And Leftovers knows that this cooldown is wasted too. They saw this being used, I think. Yeah, they saw this cooldown being used. I'm pretty sure ETC saw that. So that's actually a really big thing that can be punished, because if this cooldown is up, if ETC slides some people, cleansed. But now that it's down, ETC can go really ham. Because a lot of the members of Heroes Hearth are squishy. And like even here, they'd caught Brightwing maybe? No, not quite. Tried to get on Mac there. Alright. So Heroes Hearth, the big thing here is Heroes Hearth has a bunch of... Basically, it's not safe for Leftovers to send 4 heroes here to defend, and leave Greymane here to DPS, because then Greymane can die pretty easily, to a Genji plus a Zeratul, or with the Anubrak, or something like that, or even just a Brightwing TP. So they have to opt into this burn, but it does seem like Heroes Hearth was pretty all over the place. Because they see, yeah, they see like everyone here. So they see Heroes Hearth here, and they see Genji down here damaging, and Brightwing over here. So they know where the entirety of Heroes Hearth is. So they have the choice to them, do they want to 5-man defend, or do they want to just go burn? And they can 5-man just go burn. Or 4-man. With Blaze maybe slowing down. But yeah, they just 5-man burn, and they're going to win this burn now, because Zeratul can't do any damage. I want to look at the Immortal HP right when it's halfway phased. It was already in favor of Leftovers, and their burn is better anyway. So, I mean, this is the issue that Heroes Hearth opted into when they first pick Genji and give away the Hanzo, is you have the dive comp, and they have the poke, and they have the burn advantage. And you're going to have to just figure out a way. You're the one that's pressured to make a play and make something happen, because you can't just sit there and let Hanzo press W every 8 seconds. Then you lose. That's a nice combo. ETC could have even maybe slid that, especially because Brightwing's not here. Yeah, he slides it after he burrowed out even. He's pretty far forward still. So he burrows out, and he's really chunked, and he doesn't have Brightwing. He just cancels the burrow too early, and then he just gets slid. I mean, again, this is the thing. Here's the thing. In NA, this stuff doesn't get punished. In NA, the Deckard combo might not even hit. But for some reason, Ishbu says, I'm about to eat a Deckard root for 1.75 seconds. That can get chained into an ETC slide, and my Brightwing's not even here. She's a 2-second delay on her TP. And he decides not to even burrow out before he gets rooted. So there's leftovers DPS heroes, just following up on the root. Most simple thing ever. And then there goes 2/3 of your health bar. And then you stayed too long, and now you're slid. And now this fort's gone. And I think Brightwing TP even failed on the Anubrak, so I think that goes on a 10-second cooldown. I'm not 100% sure, though. But the fort's gone. And I mean, that's just... You just stood there in a Deckard route and died. So now you're down a full level. And down a fort. And your Brightwing Global has no value. Okay, what is this? So Leftovers just got out this camp and cleared out this wave pretty aggressively. And Blaze was showing top. So Heroes Hearth knows that this is a 5v4 if they force it. So Zeratul goes in. That's not what they wanted to happen, though. Okay, they still get the kill. But only one kill is not enough to get them to come back in this game. So it's a good force by Heroes Hearth, using their dive comp and diving on Leftovers when they're too far up, clearing this wave here, with Blaze showing top. So that catches them up a decent amount, actually. And again, they're looking for it. Blaze is showing top again, but this time it gets scouted. Good scout on the flanks. I think Hanzo had a vision arrow above. Where is his vision arrow, actually? Oh, it's here. So it sees Brightwing, and they don't see a noob here. So either a noob is up here, or he's down here. And they scout it out. And now EDC is just going to be sitting in this bush for the rest of the time, until they see a noob somewhere else. So Greymane off the respawn snuck top to this camp. There's no camp bottom. So Heroes Hearth actually spent a lot of time down here with their 4-man after Greymane, while Greymane was dead, and they really didn't get much value. Because here's the thing. So they killed Greymane, and Blaze showed up here, and you have 5 here. So you have to do something with this kill. Because the kill experience by itself isn't very much. So they look... maybe a noob actually gets spotted right here, off of this vision arrow. It might have. Not really sure if it did. Probably didn't, because ETC checks the bush with his W. Okay. But yeah, they're spending... This is so much time for their 4-man being used here that they could have rotated top and taken this camp, or at least tried to push up and pressure the wall, because they have a 4v3 while Greymane's dead. And only just now, Greymane could have come back. And now they start the rotation top, and this should just be too late. The camp will be gone before they're even close. Maybe they catch Deckard? No. Deckard was pretty far up there, but for some reason, Genji was ahead of the Anubrak on the rotate. Maybe oh no, Deckard saw him here, and he was mounted. Never mind, there's no way to punish him there. It's just a good scout by Deckard. But yeah, the camp's gone. Both teams still have their night camp spawning. And Heroes Hearth is trying to play aggressively. Try and go on ETC. They missed the burrow, and then they stacked the poly with the Q. And then ETC he's half HP, but he's standing there, because there's no more crowd control for him. So he can just sit there and get healed up by Deckard. Now they're trying to punish Greymane, who is damaging their Immortal. But they can't really. They don't quite control the Brightwing and the Deckard combo. Okay. Deckard gets caught out here pretty hard, actually. What is this? So they went for the play on ETC with 3 members, plus their Brightwing. That failed. Then Brightwing TP'd top onto the Zeratul to try and go for the 3v2 up here. That failed, and now Heroes Hearth's global is down. And Leftovers is closer to 10, so they should be at an advantage here. But then Deckard ends up just overextended very hard, trying to go on this Brightwing, and gets collapsed on really easily. And Heroes Hearth misses so much here too. They miss the Anub Q, the burrow barely hits, and the Li Ming combo gets blocked. So it's just Genji and Zeratul damage that kills Deckard. He's just that far out of position. Zeratul actually gets traded back onto though, because he had to... Because all of this stuff missed, he had to suicide for it rather than keeping keeping on kiting away. He had to chase into the choke. And then, is this an ETC sliding out? He gets polyed. No, okay. So it's a good punish by Hero's Hearth. Deckard getting caught way out of position. When he should know, especially, the enemy team was just down here and they started rotating at about the same time, so he should know that when he's there, the enemy team should be to the left of the Immortal. So there goes Leftover's lead. "5 a.m. bedtime was monk ass." No, that's pretty close to standard for me. I basically live on West Coast time, even though I'm on the East Coast. So Hero's Hearth wins the halfway phase pretty significantly. And Leftovers, have they scouted anything here when they make this decision? It seems like they have no knowledge, really. The only thing they know is that, okay, they see a noob here, and they don't see anyone else, really. They saw a Li Ming combo, and they might have seen Genji. So that's enough for them to decide to start damaging here, and they're still playing defensive around the enemy Immortal. And I guess they're just saying, I'm not sure if in this situation, if Hero's Hearth just 5-manned on this Immortal, if Leftovers would win the race. I think Hero's Hearth, with that significant of a damage lead, would just win the race. But they weren't in position for that. Hero's Hearth was expecting the enemy team to be defensive here, and didn't push up into it, which gave Leftovers half of the Immortal for free. And again here, we can see, just look at the Anubrak cooldowns just getting wasted. Like he Qs, so all he has is a burrow when he goes in on this Greymane. And there's a bunker that they should be able to get into. Greymane didn't get in it. That's really bad. If Greymane got in that bunker, then Zeratul dies to the bunker damage. And the thing is too, is Leftovers scouts this really early, because they have EDCs up here, watching this flank, and then they scout this flank happening right now, and they say, Anubrak is over here, and he's stepping forward, and he just stunned me. And then they say, Anubrak just cocooned me. And you can see that Leftovers is pretty well positioned for this, considering the fact that the cocoon is going to happen no matter what, and then EDC's here and he can come in for the flank. And with only having his burrow, the Greymane is CC'd for a lot shorter of a time. And then the sleep comes out to peel. Hanzo actually gets forced out really hard here. Hanzo actually did not need to jump over that wall. He was actually fine there. Because the thing is, Zera didn't get the auto attack on him, I think. Yeah, Zera didn't get the auto attack. That was just Zera Q damage. So there was no way that Zera already blinked for that, so there's no way Zera was going onto him. The only person that could go onto him was Genji. And if Genji went onto him, it would have been better for him to jump this way. Because if Genji just chases him here, then he could still go after him. He's still revealed by the dot. But he jumps over, and that does set up for a good ultimate here. Which goes into a mosh pit, which ends up barely getting interrupted by this. And then Greymane is a little bit late. EDC's breaking the cocoon, and then as soon as Blaze comes out, he drops the bunker. But Greymane is just barely not able to get into it. So Hero's Hearth does get the kill, but they're still going to lose the Immortal off of this most likely. Hanzo's still alive, and Hero's Hearth is pretty low on a lot of their heroes, unless they kill somebody right now. But, okay. That's a nice wave of force by Li Ming. That's what gets the skill. ETC probably is being a bit greedy with his positioning, but the thing is, once these orbs show up, and then he gets poly, there's nothing he can do. Then he just gets barely wave of forced into it, and then off the wave of force, Anubrak combos him. Or Anubrak burrows on him. Do they kill Deckard here? He's pretty tanky. Oh, they do. Nice. He's revealed. Yeah, Vorpal Blade also reveals, but the Q damage over time also is a reveal. I don't think Zeratul was ever in range to actually get the auto attack off on the Hanzo. Hero's Hearth might be able to win this burn. Oh, okay. Okay, Anubrak lives. And they still lose the burn. Li Ming was out of mana. And Zeratul was low on mana, so I think this is the reason why they lost this Immortal is because they already had a half HP Immortal lead, and they didn't pressure as 5 on Leftovers Immortal. They immediately started spreading out, and that let Leftovers catch up in damage significantly. There was also a night camp this entire time, which got capped here while Hero's Hearth was hitting the halfway phase. And this night camp kills an entire fort. And then also goes on to damage the keep wall. Yeah, I mean that's just Li Ming. That's just what happens with the hero. She actually uses mana. She has real mana costs. I mean that's just you just have to accept that. Like you'd love to just have a second Hanzo. You can just have Hanzo on both teams. Then you would pick Hanzo every single time over Li Ming, but you can't. Again, good scout on the flank here by ETC. And now he's going to pressure a noob. And the big thing is, you could say, what if they go on the ETC here? And the problem is, even if they go on him with like Genji and Zeratul, here, if they don't one-shot him, then all of their cooldowns are down, and then they can't fight for the next 12 seconds or so. And they most likely won't one-shot him, because he'll be able to slide out or W some of the cooldowns, plus his armor. So he's pretty much just not one-shottable. So Brightwing getting Split Soak here is pretty decent value, though she could be further up here. So she's getting Split Soak now, and then the enemy team is still all showing, so I feel like Brightwing could be here getting this soak, especially with Blink Heal. If she goes up to here and goes above the wave, then she's pretty safe, or if she just stays in fog from far away. Because the entire team of Leftovers was showing here, so there was no reason for Brightwing to not be getting all of the soak. So that's one minion that was missed. So the game's still even, and I think that is pretty decent for Hero's Hearth, because you'd expect them to be slightly behind, because they should always lose the first Immortal. Because Leftovers' damage is so much better, and before Hero's Hearth gets ultimates, they can't really win fights. And also Hero's Hearth has a scaling advantage with Zeratul mostly. The Zeratul level 16 spike is pretty insane. So the game is still pretty winnable, even though they're down both their forts. They're not down in experience because of it. Alright. There's no way Leftovers is going to push up to a keep wall. Way too easy to get flanked and dove on. So both teams are going to be safe. That's a pretty early night camp cap, though. I don't think Hero's Hearth... The thing is the reason you would cap the night camp early is because you're scared of an invade. But I don't think you need to be scared of an invade when you can so easily flank the enemy backline back here. I think this night camp cap should have been held longer, at least 10 seconds longer, because now it gets cleared for free. And you wanted this night camp because the enemy team doesn't have a night camp, because they capped their night camp in the middle of the last Immortal phase. So if this night camp was pushing during the Immortal phase, then Hero's Hearth would be able to get free damage, and Leftovers wouldn't be able to step up here to damage theirs. But instead, Leftovers gets to kill the night camp before the Immortals have even spawned, and that's really bad for Hero's Hearth. Hero's Hearth is still in better position to burn, but they could have gotten almost a full halfway phase off of the night camp if it was timed better, I think. What do you mean uptime? Wolvos stream uptime? Alright, and now that Hero's Hearth knows that Leftovers is in a defensive position around their Immortal, now is when they can start setting up flanks and start spreading out. So you can see Hero's Hearth is all over the map on a bunch of different angles, staying in fog. And Leftovers, they've got their tanks watching either side, and then frontline steps up here. And unless a Nubrak burrows under here from fog, Hanzo will always be able to jump over the wall and get out. And especially when they've got Vision Arrow down as well. So Leftovers has really good vision, and this is what they need to be doing, is stepping up really slowly and just poking with the Hanzo from long range while their tanks are on both sides. Because, again, Hero's Hearth can't one-shot the tanks. They can't commit onto the tanks and actually kill them. And if they commit on the tanks and don't kill them, then they're going to get turned on by a Hanzo ult, by an ETC mosh pit, by a bunker, by a Deckard sleep, and then they're going to lose the fight. So they have to find a way to get past these tanks and get around them to get to the backline. Li Ming's dead. Or not. So what happens here is Li Ming is up here. And... okay. I think Greyman activates his W late here. I think. Hold on. Let's slow it down. Because I'm not actually sure. But I think he could have gotten that second auto attack off sooner. So he ults as soon as he's in range. Maybe not. But that actually baits him really hard. And then this is him just not respecting the Brightwing heal. Because as you can see, Li Ming with 100 HP is now a Li Ming with 1500 HP at least. Or 2000 even. And there's no way he kills the Li Ming after the Brightwing TP finishes. And this is just an overextension at this point when this happens. And the rest of the time while this is happening, it's a good Hanzo ult to punish the Li Ming not having blink. You can see that when this happens, when you catch someone on the flank, everyone on the other flanks has a really hard time following, or like catching up to the fight. Because if the fight's over here, and Leftovers is in the middle, they can send 5 to this, but Genji and Anubrak are on the opposite side of it, and it's really hard for them to do anything here. So Zera does VP a couple of heroes. And now... okay. The Cocoon went on ETC. Hanzo did get his jump reset, though. Okay, that was very bad. That's a really bad miscommunication. So right here, what needs to happen is Crowan says that he either he has an escape, or he doesn't have an escape and he needs help. Because either BBJ needs to blink on him to keep him alive through Hanzo damage until his cooldown comes up, or he has the cooldown and he's fine. And he has the cooldown and he's fine, and then BBJ teleports into an Immortal Stun and dies. And now again, Leftovers just wins the burn. So this is a halfway phase for Leftovers. Here's Hearth damage lead from the Night Camp. Still puts them ahead though. My uptime, 40 minutes. And now Brightwing's still dead. Li Ming just respawned. Greyman respawned sooner because he died sooner. So Leftovers forces is 5. And now here comes the Brightwing. Okay, well that's just terrible. I think Hero's Hearth missed everything though, so they might still lose this fight. Oh god. Okay, Greyman's still dead. Alright, so... Leftovers should know that Brightwing's gonna have TP when she respawns. So they have to know that as soon as Brightwing respawns, Hero's Hearth is gonna go for an engage. And then, for some reason, Deckard stands on an Immortal Stun. Oh no, he gets Wave of Force in. That's another good Wave of Force. But then the Anubrak Burrow misses. The Genji Dash misses. So suddenly, Anub has no CC, Genji has no cooldowns, and Zeratul already used his Blink to get in and do that, and then Wormhold out. So I was actually expecting this fight to still not go well for Hero's Hearth after that. They do get the interrupt on the Mosh, though, and Li Ming barely lives. Okay. I think it's just Leftovers overstaying, because you can see, if we go to right here, if Leftovers just backs off right now, with 2 seconds left, they just back off through this choke and go back to here, then they're fine. Hero's Hearth can't commit to a burn, and Leftovers can poke this out. And at least that's a decent position. But if you're getting engaged on underneath the enemy team's Immortal, everything's a lot harder. And again, everything misses. Anub doesn't have Burrow range. Genji Dash misses. Anub Burrow misses. All the Li Ming spells are sidestepped. But Hero's Hearth should still win this. Hold on, what is happening now? Is this a Hanzo ult engage? Or they just actually get run up to and CC'd a bunch? The Hanzo ult after the engage. 3v5. Well, the Immortal is dead, and that's a free bunker, and Hanzo ult, so Hero's Hearth is pretty happy about that. This is just slow reaction time, I guess. Max should be able to react to an EDC slide at this range, but he doesn't. Because the thing is, with this much HP, Hero's Hearth still has to play defensive here until they know where the enemy team is. And I don't think they saw that Hanzo W, so they don't know where the enemy team is until they show in this wave here. But as soon as they see these heroes here, Hero's Hearth should all be here as 5. And I think they are coming here to be as 5. It's just some Immortal stuns that zone them. Alright. So now, Hero's Hearth will have level 16, so this fort will die for sure, because Hero's Hearth can dive leftovers under it, especially with Bunker and Hanzo ult on cooldown, and Mosh is still on cooldown. But it should be defended to the keep wall. I really think Hero's Hearth should be setting up a flank here. They should have heroes going underneath here and around here. Leftovers is backing up anyway. Doesn't matter. It's been 2 really good wave of forces by Hami to set up kills. Alright, so it's a 2-level lead for Hero's Hearth. And it's a level 16 Zeratul power spike, so that should be enough for them to win this game now. They could invade this night camp and take that. Looks like they are starting to rotate over to that. No, even just get on the Hanzo. Alright. Yeah, this game should be pretty easy win. They're going to poly ETC out of this and try and go on him. This is kind of insane by leftovers where, sure, the enemy team backed off this way, but there's nothing stopping them from just coming back over here. And for some reason, it's Hanzo that's pretty much in the front here. They don't use any abilities to check this bush. I don't know where the Hanzo Vision Arrow cooldown is. There's no Blaze Oil or Q. There's no Deckard. This shouldn't happen. And the other thing too is the other thing that shouldn't happen is when Hanzo walks into this, he almost has enough time to jump out because Ishbu is so slow on the CC. And if ETC had maybe slid him here, or W'd him even, then they wouldn't have even gotten this kill on Hanzo. Alright, so Hero's Hearth might try and siege with this. Their siege is kind of bad, other than Li Ming spells. So they're never going to kill this keep, but they can at least get a decent bit of damage on it. So that's fine. They could still steal the enemy team's night camp if they wanted to. Though they are down 2 big ultimates, so maybe not. Enemy team's still down bunker, so it wouldn't be that bad of a fight to steal a night camp. But they opt to back off. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which is better, taking out half of the keep or stealing the enemy team's night camp. I'm not sure. I think I might like the night camp better because after you take the night camp, you could go and kill this fort, and that might be higher value. Because now you still have this night camp issue top lane to deal with, and that's hard. But the big thing is that Hero's Hearth's team comp can be split up. So if Hero's Hearth has someone top lane, especially Brightwing, Leftovers can't punish them that easily. The only way they could punish that is with a Hanzo ult. Whereas if Leftovers has someone down here and is trying to defend the Immortal up here, they can get punished for that really easily. So Leftovers has to give away this halfway phase just because of the way the comps work. And this is a very bad spawn for Leftovers. I don't think there's been a single spawn where Leftovers Immortal has been over here. Or there might have been one. And that really sucks because that's the best possible spawn for the Hanzo comp. And now again, they're in a really tough spot where, at this point, I don't think, with this much of an HP lead, if Leftovers goes to 5-man burn, Heroes Hearth will just burn and win the race. So Leftovers has to look for a fight here. And this gives Heroes Hearth a lot of time to split soak, or find Li Ming poke and stuff like that. Alright, so now Heroes Hearth knows that they're here. And Heroes Hearth is kind of split on their call, because the noob is here with Zeratul trying to look for a fight, but then they also have Heroes poking. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I guess it's fine. Li Ming poke is pretty insane at this point too. As long as you don't make a mistake, that's fine, but you are putting yourself at risk that someone gets engaged on over here, or over here while you're split up. Like that, if the Hanzo will actually hit the Li Ming there. Zera's gonna Vorpal on that. He gets slept though, into a Mosh, and there's no interrupt for it. Oh, that's really bad. Alright. Genji gets resets. Into a... Oh, okay. He should have actually died to bunker damage during that Immortal Stun. Alright then. On the Grey main comp loses Immortals that quickly because they can't race. Just because they'll get dove on. So, Heroes Hearth tries to punish this overextension. And they do kill Greymane. But then they get slept into a Mosh, and all of their other interrupts are on cooldown. Li Ming used Wave of Force in her burst combo. Brightwing used Poly on the Greymane, and the other two heroes are in the Mosh pit. So these two heroes are dead. And they're... Okay, Greymane actually just kills himself, though. Greymane just kills himself. Greymane could have just rolled to the bunker and lived, but instead he dies, and that gives Genji and Li Ming both resets. But then Genji messes up his second reset and dashes right into an Immortal Stun. And he could have died here. Right here, if they all hop in the bunker and use the bunker damage on him, he dies, 100%. That's a 2-second Immortal Stun. That's two Qs per hero in the bunker. He should be dead. But they instead are shooting at the Li Ming. And then this is... Does he have his X-Strike this entire time, too? That's so strange. So we can't X-Strike yet, because there's a Mosh Pit. I don't know. Seems like Crowan just panics here, where he dashes through them, but then he realizes he doesn't have the 13 talent for a cooldown reset, and now he's almost dying, and then he jumps, and then he X-Strikes, and then he deflects. Because if he had all these cooldowns available, I don't know. Something should have gone differently there. Leftovers takes whatever damage they can get, and this might be a keep. What Heroes Hearth wants to do is stop Leftovers from damaging their Immortal, but not push the building until their Nubrak gets here. And they even see Greymane bottom, so Leftovers should not be allowed to damage the Immortal at all now. It's just a limitation of the comp, where if you have a squishy backline like this, and you don't have any map hacks, any reliable map hacks, then you have to stay safe as a 5-man at all times. Otherwise, whoever's split can just get gone on and killed. Okay, there's the engage. Nice VP on 3 people. So who's calling for this engage? Probably just Nubrak. And this is a level 20 advantage too. So Heroes Hearth is insanely strong. So yeah, the game's over out of this. Zera's getting Q resets, and he's unkillable here. Alright. So I think the big thing here is that... that's way too far back, okay. I wish there was video preview. But there isn't until the live broadcast is done. Alright, so right here. Where are we? here. So right about here, Leftovers has a level lead, and this fort is dead. And Leftovers needs to use this lead to snowball the game. Because if they don't, and they end up being even, the problem they run into is they can never split up. So they can't split up to get soak, they can't split up to clear merc camps, and they can't split up to sneak damage. So the only thing their comp can do, if they end up even past level 10, is stay together as 5 and let Hanzo poke. And Hero's Hearth's comp, as long as they don't get snowballed on, and they can get 10, get past that point, they have Brightwing to be able to split soak, they have Heroes, Li Ming can poke the Immortal, while Leftovers is staying defensive, and she will outpoke the Hanzo if she's able to completely 100% uptime poke, whereas Hanzo can't. And then they can still look for engages pretty easily, because they have Cocoon and VP. So as soon as Leftovers loses their lead, when they get punished here for overextending, then Hero's Hearth is... Well, they don't even lose their lead yet. Where do they lose their lead? Oh yeah, it's here. It's when Deckard dies here. This is... So Leftovers is so close to 10, and if they get 10 here, they win the full Immortal. That's all they need in this situation, is get 10, get the halfway. Hero's Hearth isn't even close to 10, so you get halfway, then you get full Immortal. And then you snowball off of that, because then you kill this fort, and you're up 2 levels, and that's a really easy snowball. But instead, Deckard gets caught, suddenly their early game advantage is gone, Hero's Hearth is even and level 10, and now Hero's Hearth can start winning team fights, and start really pressuring Leftovers to force them to stay together as 5. And the big thing, too, is Hero's Hearth doesn't even need to force in fights super hard. They can just let Brightwing and Split Soak. And just sit and go even. As long as Leftovers isn't getting a big Immortal, even if it's a really small shield Immortal, Hero's Hearth is fine with that, because as soon as they hit 16, they should just win every team fight. And that's pretty much what happens. But with a bunch of fights happening. Because as you can see, like, this Immortal gets this, but it doesn't even get an experience lead. And then there's no way for Leftovers. At this point, there's no way for Leftovers to get a lead unless they somehow win a team fight or get an insane pick-off like what happens over here. Oh, we missed the draft. There was a pause, I guess. Alright. So, Hero's Hearth, copy and tempo, running Greymane and Noob, super high priority. It is a lot better on this map because any structure damage snowballs out of control when the temples are capped. So even if you get half a tower on this map, that half a tower actually means something, whereas on Cursed Hollow, if you get half a tower, unless you're able to actually finish that tower off, it doesn't do anything. Alright. But they did give away first pick Genji, so we'll see how they can deal with that. There's no offlaner yet, so Hero's Hearth might go for banning one offlaner and picking another. No, they banned Tyrande. That's pretty surprising. That they banned Tyrande instead of just taking her. Because I feel like they could just have Tyrande and then have the map hacks from Tyrande. And Tyrande can't get dove on by a Genji. She'll 1v1 him. So now Leftovers, do they need to ban out Dahaka to deny the global? The issue with that is if they ban Dahaka and Hero's Hearth picks Irel, then they don't have a good offlane. Okay, they ban Brightwing. So, Dahaka and Irel are both up, so one team's going to get one of them, one team's going to get the other. Could say, like, maybe the Tyrande ban telegraphs that they want Brightwing. And Brightwing was pretty decent in the last game, other than the cleanses. The cleanses were very unimpactful. So they go Rhaegar. So, what are Rhaegar's strengths? He can do PvE really well. He's the only support in the game, basically, that can actually clear a wave by himself efficiently. And he does mercs really well. And his early game is decent, and he has a real cleanse, with long range and 1 second full unstoppable, which counteracts a lot of Garrosh combos. But now that gives away Dahaka and Deckard, so I'm not sure. Again, they have the Zeratul for the scaling, and they have the double take heroes out of the game for long duration, but they don't have a real dive target in this game. Whereas last game they had a Hanzo they could dive on, and a Greymane that could be targeted. In this game, the only real target is going to be Deckard, Genji's way too mobile. Li Ming's way too mobile. They go Malthael. Okay. So Heroes Hearth has... So the big advantage that Heroes Hearth has is that they can do... What's going to happen is that 1 minute into the game, Heroes Hearth is going to take their Siege Camp and their Night Camp at the same time. And then they're going to have one hero, either Zeratul, most likely Zeratul bottom lane with the Siege Camp, and they're going to have a 4-man top with the Night Camp pushing with it and clearing the enemy team Night Camp out. And they're going to try and leverage that to be able to get a structure lead and snowball that structure lead into an advantage. Whereas Leftovers, and they do have some late game potential with Zeratul. Leftovers has the Dahaka for the global. They have Genji, who can just do whatever he wants. Neither team has any map hacks, so what that means is that both teams have to be scared with their rotations around the map. There aren't any heroes that can avoid getting one-shot if they face check into the enemy team. Garrosh, if he face checks into a Nubarak plus Greymane plus Malthael, he's just going to die. And a Nubarak, if he face checks into this, he's just dead. So nobody can face check into each other. Everyone has to be really cautious with their rotations. Other than Genji, he can probably do whatever he wants because he can check bushes with his Q. And it looks like Heroes Hearth is running it. Going to run directly at this top wall, level 1. So they're going to go at the top wall, level 1, get half a tower. Then 1 minute into the game, Malthael plus Zeratul are going to do this camp. They're going to do the Night Camp with Greymane and Rhaegar. And then they're going to have a heavy push top lane. And Leftovers has no way to do their Night Camp at that same speed. So Leftovers will only have the Siege Camp out, and then they will have to defend this full Night Camp with just their wall. And they'll probably lose most of their wall, if not all of it, depending on how much value this gets here. So this is pretty risky, too, by Heroes Hearth. Okay, they're not even showing. It's just a Nubarak Beetle to try and get Leftovers